I'm a little taller. How's everyone doing tonight? Good evening. My name is Chris Lawless. I had to say that because last time they said I forgot to tell you who I was. And I want to welcome you all to the opening of the Ron Paul 2012 Victory Office. And it's pretty amazing that I come out to these events and more people I don't recognize, which really encourages me. And I know that there's more and more who hear this message. They believe this message, they know we have the right message, and they know we're going to lead it to victory in 2012. And a friend of mine was asking me, he goes, what is it about this thing in Iowa? And I said, what thing in Iowa? I didn't see anything in the news about it. And they said, no, seriously, what is it about the Ron Paul campaign? And I said, I'll be very honest with you. There's three things about the Ron Paul campaign. Number one, we have a man with a consistent record over 20 years of voting the right way. No candidate can match that. No one in Congress can match that. 20 plus years of consistency. You watch an interview in 2007, 2010, 2011, the same message consistently, the same votes. The second thing, and I think this is the one that everyone really knows, the people. True grassroots is right here. The Ron Paul crowd, as many people call us, will do anything, right? And we know why. And then there's the third reason, which I think is the most important reason. Liberty is popular. It's really that simple. My friend Bill Domenico's here has a big sign that says, Liberty, too big to fail. And I absolutely agree with that sign. So one thing that combines all three of these, one thing we're going to need from every single person here is we're going to need your hard work for the next 6 to 8 months. And that may mean doing things you don't want to do. But Kate Baker's here and she'll tell you have to do them, because that's how we win. So, if you see people running around with clipboards, there's sign-up sheets. We need lots of phone calls. If you can spare 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour a day, come down here and make phone calls. They've made it easy. You make a lot of phone calls, they might even feed you. Come on, we need your help. We're going to do door knocking. We'll do, if you say you can't door knock and you can't phone call, we'll find something for you to do. My car might need to be washed or something. So, one of the other things that came out of the 2007-2008 is that a lot of us got involved in politics. And I first met Jim, as I knew him then. I first met Jim back in the 2007 campaign, and we did a lot of volunteer stuff. And through that, Jim has run for office twice now. He's now one of our freshman senators here in New Hampshire. He's a veteran, he's a father, he's a doctor. And a lot of people don't know that, but he's a doctor. He's a professor. Please welcome Senator Jim Forsythe.
And just to clarify, I'm not the kind of doctor that does you any good, the Ph.D. type. So, yeah, I really jumped into the campaign last time because what happened with me is back in 1984 I went to the Soviet Union and in 86 as well, and I saw firsthand what big government looked like when it took control of everything. And you could actually see the lack of freedom in people's eyes. There was just this dejected look that you saw. So I came back from that really studying and believing in free markets and unlimited government. And I got frustrated over the last 20 years to see no matter who we elected, government always got bigger. No matter whether it was Republican or Democrat, it always got bigger. And then in January 2007, so I was a little jaded, as I think a lot of people are, and then January 2007, I heard Dr. Paul speak up here in New Hampshire, and he was saying the things that I believed in, but that, you know, other people were only given partial lip service to. So then I looked at his record, and like Chris said, it was an unbelievable record. It was just totally consistent. He believes in limited government, and he's actually going to do it. So I jumped on board and got involved, and I'm glad I did, and you know, ran for Senate and got elected in 2010. And I'm very proud that we swept the Senate 19-5 Republican, but more importantly than that, in the last 100 years, there's only ever been one decrease in spending in New Hampshire, and it's about 1%. This last year, we cut spending by 11%. So here in New Hampshire, we understand that government's spending too much, it's gotten too big, and that's in New Hampshire, but at the federal level, it's completely out of control. We have to turn this thing around. We have to turn this thing around now, and there's only one man I trust to do that, and that's Congressman Ron Paul. So I'd like you to please welcome a top-tier candidate, the only top-tier candidate in my mind. We did great in Ames, nearly first-place finish, and we're going to win New Hampshire. Congressman Ron Paul.
I periodically go to campaign headquarter openings, you know, here and there, and they always say, well, come to the headquarters, the volunteers are going to be there. So I always expect at least 30 or 40 people. So when I was driving up, I was rather impressed, I'll tell you. This is a wonderful thing, you know. We did have that rough and tumble on the media on the weekend, but I think this has made up for it. As has been reported, the media coverage on Sunday morning was less than perfect for us. And then we had a pretty good interview scheduled for Monday morning. And I thought, well, and then right before we were supposed to go on, or the evening before that, they called and said, "You've been canceled." So I didn't know exactly what was going on, but you know, generally, if you stick to your guns and you're persistent, things work out for, you know, in the best manner. And I would say that in the last 2 days we've sort of made up, because the issue has become the fact that I did not get any interviews on Sunday morning. And then there's this guy on Comedy Central or something. I don't know. His name is Jon Stewart. I think I've been on his program once or twice, and I think he's thinking about getting me on again. You know what? I think that is a perfect example, because, you know, if we took all of his beliefs and all of our beliefs, I'll bet we'd have a few disagreements, you know. But isn't it wonderful that somebody like that comes to defend us, because he's an honest person, he wants the truth, and when we do agree, he lets people know. So this is why I believe the message of liberty really does bring people together. And that is also the reason why I'm so encouraged. Because, you know, at times I've been criticized for my lack of ability to give public speeches and all these other things. But I'll tell you what, where I get my energies from the people like you who are energized, because there's a very valuable message. I've never backed off on the message, because I think the message is the message we need. It's the message that made America great, and there's no reason in the world that we should allow our system of government and our republic to be destroyed. We need to reverse things. We need to get rid of our empire and emphasize the American republic that would protect our freedom. Talked about and emphasized over the many years how long I've been doing this, and it's sort of interesting that the day that I had my epiphany on politics was on August 15th, 40 years ago. But you know, I've been talking about that issue for a long, long time because I think it's very important. I think sound money is connected to free markets and the freedom message and the Constitution, so we can bring this all together. But it fascinates me, and I'm sure it must fascinate a lot of you also, because although we've been talking about and thinking about and understanding it for so long, who would have ever thought, you know, the former Speaker of the House would come out for audit the Fed? We have a Southern governor, I can't remember his name, who's coming into the campaign. So he realizes that talking about the Fed is good too. But I'll tell you what, he makes me look like a moderate. I mean, I have never once said Bernanke has committed treason. But I have suggested very strongly that the Federal Reserve System and all their members have been counterfeiters for a long time. And that is a pretty serious crime. The founders thought they should get the death penalty if you ever counterfeited our money. And there aren't that many national crimes put in our Constitution. You know, we have counterfeiting, and we have treason, and we have piracy, and we have slavery. But just think, there's 4 major crimes that are national crimes. But wonder why we have 100,000 bureaucrats from Washington carrying guns telling us what to do with our lives and our property. That is what we have to reverse, because it is out of hand, it is out of control, and I think the people know it. And I think this is the reason why this movement is growing. It's growing not only because the message is right, but out of necessity. For a long time, you know, as long as you could live off past wealth and borrowed money and printed money, people weren't too worried about the principles of where wealth comes from. But we're down now to that point. And it's not only us who are willing to take care of ourselves. Those who have been on the receiving end are getting worried too, because they know there's something very, very bad about this deficit, and there seems to be no control whatsoever. And it is our freedom message that has the answers. It's the free market that has the answers. It's our Constitution that has the answer. It's sound money. So it's all there, and we don't have to invent it. All we have to do is convince people that it is the answer, and we cannot forget that the economic system is very important, dealing with gold and the spending, the entitlement system. But there is one thing for sure. If we want to return prosperity and jobs in this country and get our budget under control, we must change our foreign policy. We must bring our troops out. We're getting more and more support from the veterans and active duty personnel. I didn't get to mention it. Maybe I should have taken the opportunity over when I was in Ames. But I do mention as much as I can, and I think you all know it. But the fundraising for our campaign from members of the military, we exceed all the others put together. That is a powerful message. We've come out of Ames, although the media didn't recognize exactly what happened there. I think the people are recognizing it, and we may have ended up getting more attention the way they handled it. But, we were essentially tied for first place. It did prove that we have a good campaign staff. We were able to raise the money. We had the volunteers, and we had the energy. But I'll tell you what, it looks like this energy has spread to New Hampshire. We still have a ways to go. You know, they claim our campaign's been very good at winning straw votes, and they don't mean anything. Of course, this one came close to meaning something, and that's why they had to doctor up the reporting of it. So we're getting very, very close. So I would say we're not that many months off Here we are in August already, and we don't know the exact dates, and they're going to move up, if anything else. So we're talking about a little over 4 months or so. Come January, we're going to be having the real McCoy, and that's why the momentum has to continue to build. That's why this really encourages me. It should encourage all of us, and it should encourage this whole movement of moving our country to freedom and believing in these things. So it does take a lot of hard work. There's no doubt about it, and I understand there's going to be a lot of hard work done over here, and that can't be done by just 2 or 3 people. It has to be done by the volunteers, because that makes all the difference in the world. We will be able to raise a decent amount of money, a significant amount of money, but quite frankly, we're not going to have as much money as some of the others. They're going to have a lot of money, and therefore we have to make up with the energy that we have. And money is very important, but there's been some candidates who have had a lot of money and a lot of their own money and didn't win elections. So that's far from it. But I am absolutely convinced the need for our message. I'm absolutely convinced our message is correct economically and on foreign policy and monetary policy, personal liberties. I mean, what other candidate in the Republican Party is talking about personal liberties? Why are Republicans and conservatives not supposed to talk about personal liberties? They may throw that term out there, but I'm very specific about that. Your life is your own, and the government ought to stay out of your life, and we don't need a Patriot Act. Was brought to the floor. It was hardly any time to debate it, and it was up on the floor an hour or two, and it was passed. It was called the Patriot Act. I was sitting beside another member, and I had a chance to do a little review, but obviously couldn't read it all. But a lot of that material was floating around for a long time. They were looking for the opportunity to pass a Patriot Act. So I said, do you know what's in this? You know, there's some things here that look bad. Why are you voting for it? He said, How can I go home to my people under these circumstances after 9/11 and tell them I didn't vote for the Patriot Act? And I said, well, why don't you go home and explain it to them? That's what you ought to do. Just think of what it would have been like if they would have called it a resolution to repeal the Fourth Amendment. How many people would have voted for it? And actually, it's pretty close to that. It really has undermined it. They pay lip service to the Fourth Amendment, and that was one of the things the revolution was fought about, is to have our privacy. We have a society today where the secrecy of government is protected and your privacies mean nothing. We need to reverse that. We need to know everything that's happening with the government. And of course, our privacy has to be protected, because that's in essence what liberty is all about, is privacy. Of course, there's one rule. You can have your privacy, you can have your life, you can take your life and be very productive, or you can be destructive, but you can't meddle in other people's lives or other people's property, and it works if we do it that way. There's been a lot of talk, of course, these last several months. They should have been talking about it for the last several decades, like a few of us have, but on the deficit and the debt. The debt is the big bugaboo about the economy, because if any one of us, or if we have a business that we're overly indebted, we don't have any more credit, and we're just barely paying the interest, you can't get growth. It's impossible to have growth until you do something about your debt. You either have to pay it off, spend less, get another job, sell off your assets, or whatever. And that is what our country has refused to do. We've been refusing to do that and make the corrections that the market demands ever since the Depression. Depression actually lasted 17 years. And this one's going now on quite a few years, and Japan's in the doldrum because politically they don't want you to face up to the truth. And the truth is, our country is bankrupt. And we should admit it, and we should take care of the debt. I believe, and I work for the goal of paying it off and working our way out of it. Conceivably and theoretically you can do it, but it is really, really tough. They have no intention on paying it off, and they were going to pretend, well, we will never default on our debt. Like, we will always send them a check. Their plan is to default on the debt by destroying the currency, which destroys the middle class, and that is why this monetary issue is so vital. So the success of this campaign is very, very important. I think it is the test, the litmus test in this modern day argument for the restorations of our liberty. So there's a lot at stake. And of course I am going to do everything I can do, conceivably, physically, and mentally, to promote our cause. But I do want you to know that I get my energy and my enthusiasm from people like you who believe this way. Because it is, every once in a while I'll get in a crowd and they'll come up and they'll say, well, they'll have a question that's very detailed about free market banking. Are you going to have fractional reserves, or will somebody be able to do something else? Well, this is the kind of questions I hope someday we're really resolving, you know, exactly how you do it in the free market. But this is our opportunity. I don't see it as the end of what's happening, but I also know that if we're not successful, it's not going to be very good. I think the movement has to continue. We have to continue to improve what we're doing, and with this success, there is hope that we're going to achieve this. And, you know, we got in this mess by not following the Constitution. Why shouldn't we just only send individuals to Washington that know and understand, can read it, and only send those who believe in following the Constitution? It is said that, has been said that an idea whose time has come, you can't stop it with bullets or anything else. And our ideas and our beliefs in freedom, our time has come. We've had a taste of it. Our country's had a taste of it. We had it for a long time. We have had it eroded now for nearly 100 years. So we're at the point now where we're not producing. The jobs are gone. The money is eroded. The foundations are gone. But we know what built the country. We know what freedom is all about. And that is but what's been revived. And with our effort, you know, I will take the interviews I get. If they call me up next week and they give me 5 interviews on Sunday morning, I'm going to do it. But you know what? In this day and age, they're not as relevant as they think they are. We have the enthusiasm, we have the rightness of our cause, and we have that other little gadget called the internet for spreading our message. So I want to close by just once again thanking everybody for coming out, and thanking you for encouraging me and expressing your belief and conviction that we're on the right track and freedom is far better than tyranny, and that's what I vote for. Freedom. Thank you.
So I know there's some people here who want to talk to Ron Paul, maybe take a picture. So he will be standing up by the campaign door. Don't rush him right now. No, I'm talking to you. Don't rush him right now. If you want something signed, have it out and ready so we can move. There's a lot of people here. Also, we are going to have people with clipboards. We want you to sign up. We need volunteers. So come see all those people with clipboards, sign up, and let's win.
All right.